That's interesting because that falls on my bottom.
It does not. Does it really? Buddy.
Working with the other trades. Florida might have been a bad example. It just happened to be the one that they brought up. You still have that hesitant throwing of the big mad scientist switch. Okay.
Right.
Well, that's on you for being foolish, not realizing what you're getting yourself into.
Ignorance is not an excuse.
You make a good point there, but I never thought about that. Yeah, like I can't be specific like that.
Yeah.
I can't say I was at this particular place because at some point somebody might listen and be like, oh, well, he's talking about me. I'm the bitch who's talking about it, whatever, right? I can't do that. Like, I've got to keep all the places I go really vague.
And we have to do that just in general. I mean,
oh, right.
I don't want some slander lawsuit coming against me.
No, definitely not. And I go to so many places that are like, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, big business places, lots of money back in them. One of them has the most money back in them.
Right.
I can't be talking even, I mean, positively, sure. Hey, it's the greatest business ever. I suggest everybody go there, but I'm not doing that with no advertised money getting kicked our way.
Right.
And I'm certainly not going to say nothing negative for just what you said. Like,
right. Well, and that's the deal too. Like we know who we work with. They know we're doing this.
Yeah.
Because I've been telling everybody, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, no, you're going to know. You're going to know when I'm talking about you.
And that's what I've been trying to avoid. Like, I don't want anybody to have any real specifics. We've occasionally said someone's initials or name or something like that. But yeah, I've been trying to be vague.
But not when we're shit talking them.
Well, no, exactly. That's why I say, like, I forget what it was from. The names and places have been changed. Is that from Law and Order?
I think so.
I think that's from Law and Order.
Yeah, something like that.
I
don't know.
We'll have to get a sound clip on the recorder that does the like dun-dun. Okay, we're changing the names and the places to protect the innocent. I'm gonna find that sound clip. We need that on there.
Oh, that's funny.
Dun. Oh my god.
Yeah. No, it is what it is.
Well, that's it, buddy. Welcome everybody to the I Shower After Work podcast for all things trades and trades related. John, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a week.
It's been a week. It is colder than a well digger's ass out there. Oh my!
Tell me about it.
God,
it got cold. It got cold fast.
Yeah, for everybody who doesn't live in the Midwest, who's in a beautiful place, when the temperature drops, it falls right out the bottom here, and it is no good at all.
Right. We were holding a good solid 30 degrees, and now it's below zero. 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Right. It has been
35 below wind chill. Like,
yeah, it's been a great year for weather. We kept the nicer-ish weather later than normal.
Right.
We got into the new year. Mm-hmm. That's good, right? But man, did it fall apart all of a sudden.
Yeah, Mother Nature's kicking us right in the teeth now.
Yeah, I was cooking a meal last night for the missus and I, and some of the leftover water, I boiled up some crab and some lobster's potato. We had a little like crab boil last night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Christening the semi-completed new kitchen. We're not all the way there, but we were able to actually easily cook a new meal in the renovated kitchen. It was our first meal since the 15th of October.
Yeah.
So
3 months, 4 months.
3 months, 4 months. Yeah. So that was kind of nice. But when, to my point, I went to throw all that extra water out there so the house didn't smell like seafood all night. Froze.
Made snow instantly.
As soon as I threw it out of the pot, I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. I've seen videos of people doing that before.
Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty quick to freeze. It was a bunch of little seafood-flavored crystals that I'm sure the raccoons in my neighborhood like. Which, man, you got raccoons out here?
I'm sure we do. I don't ever see them.
Man, I hadn't seen one in real life other than hunting in years.
Yeah.
And then working nights a few months back. Man, coming home, pulled into the driveway, little bastard standing right in the middle of the driveway looking at me like a thief in the night.
Trash man.
Like, you little fucking trash panda, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, so now I've seen some prints around. One of them came right up to the front door the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously they're just looking for whatever they can, but thank God we don't keep our trash loose outside. I mean,
right.
Oh my God. I'm surprised they haven't gotten into the trash, because you always hear that, right?
Right.
Oh, they'll get into your trash bin. I just got the same everything got, right?
Yep.
Those plastic giant. Fortunately, they haven't tried to get into it yet.
Right. Just hope the wind doesn't blow the lid all the way open, and then they will.
Yeah, I've got mine in a good spot, except for trash day, which ends up being today. But where they're at normally, they stay closed. But out at the end of the driveway, I'm surprised they haven't gotten into it yet.
We have a lot of coyotes out here, so that might keep them at bay.
Oh, that could probably help too. We do have them where I'm at. I've heard them a few nights sporadically throughout the summer calling to one another. Yep. I've seen them twice. That's it. Like, you don't see them very much, but they're certainly around.
I caught one on my camera a couple months ago, walking across my front yard with a rabbit in its mouth. Just,
well, predators, right? That's what they're there for.
that's what they're there for.
Yeah, we had a Cooper's hawk in the backyard, just jacked some birds yesterday or the day before. My wife and I she pointed out, she's like, oh, look, we've got a Cooper's hawk back there. And he was up kind of on the fence. We've got a little pile of brush back near the back fence line.
Good.
One of the little birds, they like to hang out in that little brush pile. Well, one of them came out of nowhere, and that Cooper's hawk jacked that little bugger.
It was all over.
That was it, man. It's all she wrote. A little squeak.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, in like a lion, out like a just a little like tiny twitch, and that was the end of that.
Right.
Of course, my wife says, "Oh, that's so sad." I'm like, "Well, A, that's nature, and B, we wouldn't have dozens and hundreds of little birds in the backyard if not for your bird feeders. So you're kind of feeding the Cooper's hawk too." But anyway,
Hey, it's all a circle, man.
trying to explain that.
Circle
right?
of life.
I was thinking today, buddy, we would have a quick discussion, although we always say quick and it ends up being like an hour. Man, there's great things about the trades. There's sucky things about the trades. I had a quick, maybe top 5, bottom 5 list of the good and the bad. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right. I'd say we may as well flip back and forth. I know that I gave you some homework to do for this one, and John's notes are very detailed here in front of them. I can tell he really thought about it in advance. So, but we'll go back and forth, 5 to 1, 5 being the lesser, 1 being the top or whatever. So in this case, 1 on our top list would be what I would think is the best thing about our lives working in construction. I don't just mean electrician. I'm talking basic construction stuff,
yeah.
right? Working for a living.
Yeah.
And in the bottom, 1 would be the worst. Make sense? So
For sure.
as far as top 5 those goes, what's in your top 5 of things that you like the best about being a construction guy?
My top 5 list.
Give me one. What's towards the bottom? Not your favorite thing, but what's one of the things you like?
It's actually building things.
Actually
building stuff. That's I love working with my hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think most people kind of have to feel that way if you want to work in construction, right?
You do.
Yeah. If not, I mean, certainly
A little bit
at least, right?
Right.
Certainly there are people out there who this is just a job.
Yeah.
They go do what they're told, they make their money, they go home, right?
Yep.
There's people who don't have a giant passion for anything they do. And that's not just construction, that's any trade, right?
Right.
That one made my list. That was in my top 5. That was number 3, and I had it as getting to see results.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, very rarely for me, this might be different from you, even when I was working field and not in service, rarely did I see the start and end of a project.
Right.
If I wasn't the foreman, I didn't ever see them.
Right.
Never, ever. There was a couple times, 3 times maybe, where I was a foreman, when I was there from day 1 to day 365, whatever it turned out to be.
Right.
I liked seeing a finished result of something that I was involved in.
Right.
Yeah.
The fruits of the labor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that one definitely made my list. And I mean, another one on my list was kind of along the same thing, but maybe we'll get back to it. All right, so yeah, working with your hands, I do like that one. Results of the actual work you do. What's one of your bottom 5? What's one of the worst things about work construction, man?
Mud.
Okay, so all right, so John, you've heard John talk before. John, unfortunately, has to work a lot in the dirt. More so than most of us do a lot of the times. I know we've got a guy at our shop that does a lot of that for us.
Yep.
Mark S., if you're ever listening, you know who you are, buddy. Yeah, I put the just weather can suck as my number 5 on the bottom list. I'm just going to generalize. You're right.
Yeah.
That's a real drag.
I can handle the rain. I can handle the snow. The fucking mud. I can't. I just can't. No.
It leads to a dirty day. There's no doubt.
I'm just sick and tired of dealing with mud, especially in our trade and being electrician specific. Having to repair a pipe in the mud.
Anybody who's got to work in the ground, right? I bet you plumbers,
piss off.
same thing.
Yeah.
Gas lines, same. Like fitters, right? It's going to be the same thing. Anytime you got to get down in the dirt, if the weather ain't great,
Right.
it's going to suck.
Right.
Yeah, I can definitely deal with that one. Can you think of one of the worst ones you had?
The worst what?
Dealing with the mud.
Oh, on the job that I've been doing.
The one you're doing right now.
Yeah. I spent like every week for 3 weeks straight, a pipe got broke,
Ugh.
or I had to move a pipe, or I had to relocate something because something needed to be repaired. and it was all goddamn clay mud. Dude, I was so tired of it. Like, just losing my shit every time it come up.
That's a drag when your feet get heavier as the day goes on because you're slowly caking a little more mud on all the time.
Yeah, and you come home when you're just tired from dragging around 20 pounds of mud on each boot.
It's definitely a workout, that's for sure. One that also made my my top 5 was non-sedentary lifestyle. I like that we get to physically work. Not sitting at a desk, not getting fat and lazy, physically working.
Yeah, I mean, but that can happen to even the guys out in the field getting fat and lazy. I've seen it.
Yeah, no, that's for sure, man.
I do like the consistent moving. It plays well into my life. Yeah, so being able to just keep going and going and going and move, I like it.
Yeah, I wonder if I'm not. I mean, not lazy. I hate to use the word lazy, although I am occasionally lazy. But I do wonder if my getting less things actively done at home after work, as we've talked about before on this podcast, is a symptom of that, or I'm like that after the fact because I work during the day. I don't know if it's a cart before the horse kind of problem or not, right?
True.
So, yeah. But I do like that we get moving around.
Right. A little higher on my list is the working with the other trades.
That's on your top or your bottom list?
That's on my top
list. Okay.
Yeah, my top list. I really actually enjoy going to work, working with the other trades and figuring out problems and, the organization and stuff like that.
That's interesting because that falls on my bottom.
It does not. Does it really? Does. Funny.
Working with the other trades can be problematic, written right down here in my notes.
I mean, it can be. Let's not sugarcoat it. It could suck ass, but
I think that one could have fell on either list, actually, depending on how you look at it. So I understand you saying that. I do have times where, I mean, just this week, one of the HVAC guys really helped me out with something. He didn't have to. Went out of his way. I was in the weeds at a place where I didn't know where anything was. He clearly looked like he knew his way around. He helped me out and showed me what I need to find.
There you go.
I'm not saying it can always be negative, but man, it can be negative sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes we can kind of get at each other's throats too. I mean, if we have shit that needs to get done and something's in our way, we can all get a little pissy at each other.
Well, and it's very often. So I had a piece of equipment that I went to help a guy out this week. Big compressor getting put in one of the fire stations. Shout out Tommy. I was there to kind of give him a hand. He was in the weeds a little bit about it. And the compressor guy was there. And that was just one case where there's 3 of us trying to work in the same 4-foot span. Well, we get jobs where there's 15 of us in the same area, in the same room.
Right.
So I guess that was what I was thinking of when I put it on my bottom list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just want to hook this one thing up. Why does there have to be 5 guys standing in the way? Like,
right. Give me 10 minutes and let me get the hell out of here.
Yeah. When they tell you on the schedule, oh, this is the time you're going to be able to do this. This piece shows up at whatever. Great.
Right.
Problem is they told every other swing and whatever on the site that exact thing, right?
Well, and that ties into one of my lower 5s.
Go ahead.
Scheduling.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I hate scheduling. I really do. None of it's realistic. None of the scheduling is actually planned by people that are in the field. And it's enforced by job suits that are just doing their job and they're doing it well, but it's coming from higher up the chain. I can't stand scheduling.
We've got a few project managers, at least 2 I know of that I deal with, that were field guys for quite a while before they decided to go in the shop, who you hope have the same mindset from before. Man, it seems like something about working the shop, your memory just fades away, what it was like to be out in the field, you know? Yeah. God love the both the guys. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about if you listen. Man, you got to remember, sometimes things don't go the way you hope, and you don't know what's in the wall or under the floor or whatever when you're doing your gig. Like,
right.
Is the material showing up on time? Are the employees I have helping me even remotely okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and even if a project starts running behind, that's where it sucks because they never adjust the schedule.
No, we've talked before. They never get longer.
No.
I've never seen one. I can tell you that.
I've seen them get shorter.
Yeah. And where, with us at least, and other trades have the same timing issues that we do, that you might see this room finally got built. The walls are finally up. It's not just us that got to get in there and put our stuff in. So a lot of it comes down to that. When the schedule gets compressed, not only does it get compressed for everyone, but then the time that we all had to not trip over one another to do a certain project in a certain area
goes away.
That's off in the breeze, buddy. That stuff is gone then.
Yep.
That's aggravating at times.
Yep. And that's when we start climbing on each other.
Right.
You know, when we're assholes to elbows and in a bathroom trying to get a bathroom roughed in. You know?
Yeah, at the worst possible time, because not only are we now time crunched, but the whole thing is time crunched, and there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a snowball to an avalanche.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that makes it tough. Another one in my top list here was we just talked about just the other day, union versus non. I think the pay and benefits are definitely in the top 5, regardless of what part of construction you work in. Certainly there's some people out there who aren't making great money.
Right.
But if you're working in the trades and you're out there building stuff and getting after it, most of us are making a reasonable to good living day to day.
Yeah, and if you're competent enough and you're doing a good job.
Right.
Yeah, we're doing I don't want to use the term we're doing okay because things can always be a little bit better. But we're not horribly off.
No, I don't know too many people who are in the trade for a while. Of course, as apprentices with,
apprenticeship sucks.
Apprenticeship sucks because there's lower money to be made there. But it grows over time. I assume other locals do something similar to what our local electrical does, that it's a percentage of what a journeyman's pay is that gains momentum and goes up to match that as the years of your apprenticeship goes on.
I would certainly hope so.
I would assume it's something similar, right? But I mean, once you get past that point, I don't know too many people who work construction and who I know who seem to be competent and intelligent and want to go and do a good job who aren't making a good living.
Right. And I mean, there's so many other factors to that. Not going to get into economics, but just it all changes based on where you're at in the country, right?
Oh, certainly.
So what we consider good here would be amazing somewhere else, or it'd be garbage in another area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just happened to be listening to another construction podcast the other day. Construction Mentor. Shout out if you're listening. We haven't been following you. We like what you're doing over there. Keep it up. Was talking to somebody from Florida, and they happened to mention a few of the trade. It was significantly lower than the Midwest.
Yep.
By a lot.
Yep.
Less than half, I can tell you that.
Yep.
Yeah, the high end of their scale was barely half of what we're getting here. So You're right. There's certainly different parts of the country now, as we talked in the weather episode. Is there benefits to living in can you give up $10 an hour, $20 an hour to be able to go to the beach every day? Maybe. Is the cost of living less there? I don't know. I can't imagine in a nice place like that, but I don't know.
Right. Who knows?
Yeah, it's.
I mean, if we're talking Florida, let's talk.
Florida might have been a bad example. It just happened to be the one that they brought up on that particular podcast. So I was just like, that's the one I thought of in my head, right?
Right.
What else can you think of for negatives, man? Like, what's one thing that just is continually an issue for us on the bad side working for a living?
Beating ourselves up.
Oh, the physical part of it?
The physical drain, the amount that we damage our bodies long term. That is actually number 5 on my bottom list.
That's number 5 in your
That
bottom
is
list.
the absolute worst thing about our job.
I had that as number 2 on my bottom list, so almost the worst thing. And I had potential. I was thinking for some reason mine were much more vague. I'm glad you're more specific about it, because I was thinking just about our trade when I shouldn't be. We're here for all the trades after all.
Right.
Potential for serious injury.
Yeah.
Even not just serious injury, but injury.
Yep.
Man, that's really tough. I was at the airport years ago as an apprentice, and I feel bad for the guy. I assume he's kicking around. He's still an electrician. I have no idea where he is now. We had a piece of particular, I'm blanking on the word here now, great podcasting, folks, an articulating machine that helps us pull wire in.
Yep.
Okay. Well, he didn't put one of the pins in, and as the wire pull started, that articulating arm came swinging down and crushed his thumb.
Oh, no.
And
man.
I mean, crushed his thumb. It was the first and last time I really had to use first aid on a job site. We were up on a lift, 30 feet in the air, dirt floor in the airport, like trying to get him down. I had never seen anyone turn physically green before.
Really?
He actually turned green. The problem was, and the problem only came later on. Now, He had a couple broken bones, had to get some stitches. Like, he really gave his thumb a bad bash. Well, his name was Tom, so unfortunately, we all started calling him Tom Thumb. That lasted all of about a week before the foreman at the time pulled us aside and went, yeah, let's not carry on with that nickname if we can avoid it. He doesn't think it's as funny as the rest of you do. Of course, the poor guy's still wrapped up, half a cast on his hand. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. But yes, that was really not good. And one guy drilling holes through the side of some sheet metal. One of the tinners was putting up the HVAC. Man, I don't know what he was thinking, but holding the tin, trying to keep it still, stuff that was already mounted, he was trying to get an inlet for, and drilled a hole saw right into his hand on the inside.
Yep.
Hamburger.
Yep.
Hamburger.
And it's even long term. Like, yeah, shit happens on the job site.
Right.
But like, my shoulder shot, my neck shot. You know, we have guys that are retiring that can barely walk.
Oh yeah, the long term stress
effects,
and yeah, it's definitely not great.
I know countless people that have had shoulder surgeries and knee surgeries, and it's just we have in the trades, and I wish it could change, but I don't know how it would. We have a 13-month lifespan after retirement.
Yeah, it's short.
On average, it's 13 months.
Oh my God, it's short. Yeah,
you know, we stopped doing it. We stopped moving.
Yeah, it's definitely not good. There's been a few people, even in these last few years of our trade, where, within that first year, gone. It's something we got to think about, man. And maybe we'll take a second and just go over that. I mean, for anybody listening, if you can do something on the job site that long-term could either put less stress on parts of your body or keep you from, man, don't worry about somebody calling you pussy or whatever they're going to say. Like, right. I had a tool bag with wheels for years.
Yep.
I used to take a lot of abuse about that. You wuss. Yeah, well, you know what? My back feels better when I go home, not carrying that bag around all day. So how about you take a flying fuck? Like,
right. I always stress to all the apprentices that show up on the job site, especially new ones. I tell them, be like, two things that's going to help you. One, buy a set of knee pads. Buy a set of knee pads, and another, don't hit things with your hands.
No.
Don't strike the end of a jab saw to cut sheetrock with your hand.
Yeah, get another tool.
Just work that into the sheetrock. You ain't got to beat on it with your hands.
Right.
You know, those are the two major things that I always tell. Be like, save yourself a whole lot of headache and a whole lot of pain.
Yeah, and I'm always telling people, watch your back. If you can do something to protect your back. Now, obviously, there's times we got to carry weight. We got to lean at bad angles. I mean, it's not perfect, right? Our trade in particular takes a lot of grief from the other ones for being prima donna or whatever they want to call it, right?
Yep.
I do tell them, protect your back, and as you said before, a good set of boots goes a long way.
Right.
And
yeah, they're expensive, but they're worth every penny.
Right. And if you're looking at the price of a good set of boots, anybody listening who buys shit, remember, talk to your tax professional at the end of the year. That's a work expense. They can figure something out for you. You might have to pay up front, but yeah, protect your back, protect your feet, which goes along with your knees.
Yep.
Excuse me. Yeah, that stuff makes a big difference, buddy. What else is on your top 5 list? Give me another one you really love about it, working construction.
Well, you already touched on it. One of the biggest things I really do enjoy, and it's closer to the top of my list, is I call it the instant gratification.
Okay.
Right. When we, and I'm going to speak as an electrician, when I wire something and I get to turn it on and it actually works, that sense of accomplishment. And it's just like, yeah, I did that.
On that note, man, how many years you got in the field now?
20.
20. Okay. Let's take something you've done a bunch of times, a transformer, for example.
Okay.
Are you still happy when it works right the first time?
Yes.
Do you still have that worry in your head, like, do I know what I'm doing?
Every time.
Okay. Do I have any idea? Like, so you still have that hesitant throwing of the big mad scientist switch. Okay.
Yep.
Glad to hear it.
Because I'm just like, okay, is the smoke going to stay in it? Magic smoke stay in, magic smoke stay in.
Right. Yeah. I know what I'm doing on my job, but yeah, for some reason, some of those, especially it seems like expensive pieces of equipment.
Oh, yeah.
My brain is just like, hey, man, like, are you sure you did that right? Like, do you really want to call up and say you destroyed that today?
I have a fire pump on my job. I have 2 of them, 2 different buildings, and we don't have permanent power in to run them yet. And I know the day that I hook up that permanent power, I'm going to be double checking all of that.
Sure.
To not blow up a 75 horse motor.
Yeah. Yeah. I always think of the a lot of the plumbers and fitters and stuff when they're going around doing their tests to make sure everything is sealed up. Right. I've seen the same look on their eye as what I've had when you see them throwing the water, throwing the gas, like they're real listening real careful, like
Right.
One thing I've noticed in service on that particular note is something I was unprepared for, because obviously I didn't work service before. With a lot of new construction and even remodels, the equipment we get is most of the time new.
Yeah.
It's not always. Sometimes we're dealing with an old panel, old this, old that, right? But you're getting a new heater, you're getting a new this for the new space.
Right.
So I'm used to new equipment now. My
nice
life now,
clean.
Right, nice and clean, right? So now working in service, I can give you a prime example. I was at a fancy high-end grocery store this week, and their dishwashing machine wasn't working. Somebody got an emergency call a day before, went in, found the problem, ordered the part. I was lucky. I just had to pop in, put the new part in, start her back up. No big deal, right? 6 wires, real quick like. Problem was, I'd never heard that machine run before. Well, the machine sounded like it was coming apart at the seams. Metal grinding, things banging. And if that had been any other motor, any job site I was on, I would immediately shut that off and went and got a couple other people and went, does this sound right to you?
Crazy.
I looked at the guy working there. I must have been a little wide-eyed.
Right.
Because he looked right at me, shook his head, and went, no, brother, that's what it's supposed to sound like. I'm like, cool, thanks, man. It's working again then. Loud, like, yeah, I thought for a minute I'd done something wrong. So I'm glad to hear that another electrician with some experience has that. Yeah. If anybody else has that out there, reach out to us. Do you still second guess that you know what you're doing occasionally?
Every time.
Yeah, it's definitely not every time with me, but it seems to be the more expensive the equipment is, or the less time I have to correct any problems. So if it has to be done today,
yep.
Those are the times I find myself a little more leery about it. Like, this was only supposed to take me 2 hours. If I blow this up, okay, I'm going to check those once more just to be sure. And then we get stuff like I had one recently where it was the pump that was feeding the diesel pump just to fill up trucks on a job site.
Yep.
I mean, gas fumes around, fuel on the ground. It's like, I don't think I want no sparks around here. Maybe I'll just double check everything once more. So
right. We had something interesting happen on one of our condo units. We had 256 units, and the new arc fault rating for ranges, right? Ranges have to be arc fault protected now, yes. According to the new code. Well, come to find out, they were doing the trim out and fire up. Every one of them started tripping on fire up. Brand new ovens, right? Come to find out that the oil that they put on the burners to keep them from rusting in storage was causing too much resistance and tripping the arc faults. They had to change them to a regular breaker, burn them off, and then hook them back to the arc fault, and it worked just fine. How crazy is that?
That's a real specific electrical one for everybody listening. We know sometimes we get in the weeds in our own trade. Yeah, that's interesting.
Right? Just from the storage oil.
Well, what are you going to do? I'm sure
other trades have shit like that.
You would have to think, right? Because I know they're putting things to seal some of the other equipment the other people are using on stuff. So,
right.
Yeah. Again, if you get something similar in yours where there's just something funky that happens between trades and whatnot, let us know. Like, reach out. isawpodcast@gmail.com for now.
For now.
We're going to see probably a change in the email address coming up here shortly, but we'll let you know all that stuff.
Right.
I don't know if I mentioned, did I say dealing with the public yet? Dealing on the public. I had it on my bottom list, and then I thought it should be low on the top, and then I put it back on the bottom again. So I'm going to call this an honorable mention for both.
Right. There's
some great things about working out in service and dealing with the public and seeing people every day, and then there's some stuff where, man, do I have to keep talking to people? Because I don't want to talk to people today.
Right. No, I've been there.
That one on my list specifically now is going to float back and forth. I think it's going to land on the negative list. It was mentioned to me as something that they thought I'd be promising at when I first took a service van. It was one of the things that my boss mentioned. You're good with people. Like, okay, that's all fine and good. I can be good with lions too, but I don't want to be fucking around with lions every day.
Right.
I can probably handle myself for that first 20 minutes, but after that, I just want that thing to get the hell away from me. that's kind of the way it feels in the public eye sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially where I go into a lot of places where it's the same location very often.
Right.
I mean, there's a couple places where I might as well have a name tag.
Yeah.
I am in there, honestly. There's two businesses in particular that, again, we don't mention. We always change the names and places to protect the innocent here. Big name grocery stores and businesses. I mean, I'm at one of those stores twice a week, every week.
Yep.
At least. So now you know the people.
Yep.
Now they know you by name. They're used to your face, which is good on one side. But then on the other side, oh, hey, since you're here,
Yep.
old buddy, old pal.
Can you do this?
Right. And we try to be good. We want to keep good business accounts up and all that stuff. So that's one for me.
Yeah. No, that didn't land anywhere on my list. But I can see exactly where you're coming from because I did service for several years. And yeah, having to deal with people that sometimes they don't get it. And they don't get it. They ask the question trying to understand what happened. And you try to explain it the best you can, as simple as you can. And they just still can't grasp it. And it's just like, all right, look, it went boom. Don't worry, just walk away.
Yeah. Or why something is important from our perspective as construction professionals. We have to do X a certain way. The wall has to be braced a certain way, fire rate a certain way. We have to do it electrically this way. The plumbing has,
right.
A lot of times they don't understand that, well, you can't just run that here. No. Saying no is something that people never like to hear, especially when in their head, they're thinking, well, this is just a simple little thing.
Yeah. Yeah. People need to stop thinking that way is the problem.
You get enough, especially in service. And I think the other side of the coin as far as new construction or remodel is with this. With service, it's someone who either thinks they understand how easy it should be, and they've got that in their head. Now you have to explain that to them why it's not. And my biggest comparison of new construction or remodel would have been where the people in charge, the clean hard hats, the clean safety vests, the nice shoes on job sites, we know who we're talking about here, right? Yep. When they show up to make a change at the end or very near the end, not realizing it's not as simple as they think.
Right.
For me, it was especially when the change, in my mind, didn't make a difference. Hey, is there any reason that receptacle can't be over there? And then they point 3 feet over. Why?
Right. What's the difference?
Yeah. What? Well, we just think that it'd be better if we put X thing over there. But it don't have to go there. Like you said, it was going to be fine. It's those changes.
Right. Now, if I was going to talk to the street, because you're talking about suits.
I'm talking about suits. Yeah, I'm talking about suits. Yeah.
Look, suits, if you happen to come across this podcast and you happen to be listening to this
we need you, suits. We love you investing and coordinating. Keep going. Yeah.
We need you. Yeah. You're vital. Do us a favor, though. When you show up on job sites, don't wear your suits because every one of us that's covered in sheetrock dust really wants to just rub up against you and just ruin that nice Armani suit.
I have been known to intentionally get a hold of, so in the electrical industry, we have pre-wired flexible conduit that we call MC, metallic conduit. It comes with this grease on it to keep it from rusting when it's sitting in storage.
It's black.
I'm known to try to pick up one of those bundles or rolls and move it right before I know I'm going to have to shake the hand of some suit that I can see coming my way. I've done it before.
Oh man.
And you can see the look on their face when they get a half greasy palm from you.
Yep.
So yeah, I must admit, the suits are don't show up in that stuff.
Yeah.
You're going job site visits, put on something a little more casual today.
Look, and if you're investing in projects that are construction projects, right? You know what you're investing in. You know what? Show up in boots and blue jeans and a t-shirt. We're still going to know who you are. You're going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Right, yeah.
But at the same time, we're probably going to leave you alone.
It will limit the amount of interaction. You're going to get more eye rolls than handshakes on a construction site if you show up in your nice clothes.
Right.
Again, I understand. That's got
the loafer monkeys.
Those people, the loafer monkeys. You got to commit at some point and see how the project is going. Maybe that's part of your gig, but it's hard to respect you when you show up clean as a whistle, not understanding what I'm doing, and tell me that I got to make a bunch of changes for.
And that's construction wise.
Right.
That's trade wide.
Yeah, it's not just us. That happens all the time. And it happens late.
Right. Stupid late.
Yeah, like
Stupid late.
yeah, us moving something on the wall might not even be as big a deal as sometimes they got to move the wall.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Oh, did that have to go there? The transformer? Yeah, the transformer got to go there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
that has to be there.
yeah. That and the some of the safety stuff that, again, all trades have their thing. With us, there's certain clearances that have to be met from electrical equipment just for working on it purposes. Nobody fucking cares, man.
No.
I've been in places that took me 10 minutes to move stuff out of the way of the electrical panel just to do some work for them.
Yep.
Big sign right in the front. Nothing here by order of fire marshal, 36 inches, 42. They could care less.
Yeah, that's in our fire code.
Yeah, that's where we got to put our Christmas tree every year. No, it ain't.
Nope. Find a new place.
Fine, yeah, but no, you walk out, you walk back.
Put it in the boss's office.
Yeah,
I would say, I know I've already given my worst thing about construction, but incompetence from other trades. Incompetence. If I have to go in and look at something because you think I messed something up and it's the fact that you just didn't do your job right, I can't stand it. I cannot stand it.
that's definitely another one that's construction wide. They feel like that about us sometimes too, I'm sure.
Right. And that's, if you better know before you demand that I fix something, you better know that it's broke or that it's wrong.
Electrical is such an easy trade to blame
It really is.
because so much of the equipment requires electricity, and when that doesn't go, well, it must be an electrician problem.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Or did you not plug it in?
Right. Yep. I'm speaking out of exact what happened this last week.
Okay,
And I can't give super details because if any of them listen to this, I'll probably get some lawsuit.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody listening understands. So we've got to trip over names and places here just to keep our jobs.
We are required by contract to provide a conduit for all of, if you own a business, all of your low voltage, your data coming in, the fiber and coax. We are, as electricians, supposed to provide that. When your guys can't pull in their cable and they tell you that your pipe is damaged, and then you have to spend an entire day using a sea snake with a camera and a rodder and digging up mud, and come to find out the pipe's just fine. Yeah, don't do that. Don't be incompetent.
Yeah, just because you're having trouble doing something and you think that's because of what the other trade did, regardless of the trade.
Because you don't have the right tools to do the job.
Right, or experience or knowledge or whatever. Yep. Yeah, that does come up sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm. Ask the question, don't blame.
Right.
Right? Be like, hey, is it possible that something's wrong? Somebody that's competent will give you a yes or no answer.
Right.
Like, no, that's just fine.
Or putting something in because the path is correct. Now, again, happens with every trade. We only speak for electricians here. All of a sudden, there's a water and gas line going through your electrical room right over top of your panels.
Right.
Well, it was the easiest path. It doesn't mean anything. It's the easiest path. Like, come on.
Stay out of there.
Yeah, we're not saying that to be a pain. Right? We're not saying that because it makes our lives more difficult to, say, get a new pipe out of that panel or anything like that. Man, you don't want water over top of electricity. You don't want gas in the same room as the electrical panels. Like, just think about that for a hot minute.
Right.
Take the extra couple hours, whatever it takes you, circumvent that space. Like, what in the fuck?
Do you know the one exception to that rule? Because that is a rule, not having a water line over top of the panel.
Yeah, can't you put like a little shelf or something up there to protect it?
No, it's an actual water line. Well, you can. You have to have means of separation, right?
Something.
Spring pipe.
Oh, yeah, that's different. That's different.
Yep, does not fall into that.
No, yeah,
even if it's a full wet system.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about that. Yeah, no, sprinkler lines. Put the sprinkler lines where you got to put them. Put the heads where you got to put them. They have very specific rules about that too, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I don't judge that. I used to have a great video on my phone. I don't know where it is anymore. A full electrical system I did in a building one time. Went on vacation the next Monday. Got a picture on, I think, Thursday that week. Wrong sprinkler head put in a room. Louvers that were supposed to cool the room off didn't work. Backup generator kicked in. Popped that two heads. Ruined everything.
No.
Water just flowing down the stairs over the electrical equipment.
Dude, that is so horrible.
It was not good.
We actually got a great email from Ryan that we're going to use when we compile our stuff.
Nice. Yeah, our feedback episode, sure.
Yeah, about things being in the wrong spots.
Oh, see, I like that. Okay, good. I'm looking forward to hearing that. Yeah, there's a... it can get squirrely sometimes out there, but anybody working in construction realizes that. I was talking to a framer just last week who has listened, and he had some good feedback, but he was just pointing out, like, remember, man, you guys are the biggest pain in the ass on the job site because nothing gets done until you get your stuff on the walls. Just remember, you guys are the biggest pain. I'm like, I don't know if that means we're the biggest pain or not, but he was quick to remind me electricians are in the way.
Yeah.
Like, I told him I'd mention it. I'm like, I don't agree with the belief, but Kevin, I heard you, buddy, and I at least brought it up. I understand that's your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, our stuff can get in the way. I'll give him that, but for the most part.
Yeah, we are a big part, and I admit, of slowing down that schedule we mentioned earlier. Because it's got to go in, and it's got to go in right. And like you've mentioned, you don't want to be opening up walls after the fact. Nobody likes that. Because any correction that requires more than one trade, that's what ends up being a problem. If your mistake now means that I got to bring in a sheetrocker and a painter and okay, my fault.
Right.
And I've been there. I've made mistakes. I admit it.
Yeah, we all have.
Yeah. Both of them were on a Tuesday, I recall. My number one here on each of these, man, and I think you can agree or disagree, but my bottom five, I guess this would be my top of my bottom five. This is what fell as the worst thing, I think, is our hours. Man, we are up at the crack of before dawn, sometimes working long days. God help the people that are not only working out of town, but working third shift, working split shifts. Like there's been times where I have to go in and work all day and then go work all night.
Yep.
That seemed to be the worst of the worst for me, is your schedule can get ugly. And I don't just mean the job schedule. I mean your personal day-to-day. If you're in a place where you might have to be swinging back and forth a little or doing a long-term night or a long-term out of town, and if you get pinned with that, you got to make hay while the sun shines. And if the hay is growing a state over, well, then got to go a state over.
Yeah. No, I can see where you're coming at with that. I've never had a real problem with schedule or feeling like the times suck.
Have you done much nights?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But I always kind of enjoyed them too. Being able to go in at night, come home, sleep when nobody was home, and then get up and spend the entire afternoon with the kids and family and stuff like that and doing my own thing. Maybe I just came to grips with it.
Maybe. If you were doing it for a long term, right?
Yeah. And then, and now I'm not, but yeah, we are up at the butt crack of midnight. We're up when it's still dark. There's days, we go to bed or we get off work when it's dark.
Oh, there's this
we
time
see
of year,
sun up, sundown. Right?
Yeah, this time of year we're definitely doing both. Both drives can be in the dark very often.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's frustrating. Now, I mean, at least we get to see the sun hopefully during the day a bit.
Right.
So.
And I think it was something that I came to grips with a long time ago. That's just kind of the ticket that we signed when we work construction.
Oh yes, no, we should we should have known what we were in for.
Yeah.
Right. Anybody who didn't realize that there'd be
if you're surprised
days.
A bit.
Yeah. If
somebody lied to you.
If nobody mentioned, if you thought you were going in 9 to 5 as a construction worker,
right.
Well, that's on you for being foolish, not realizing what you're getting yourself into.
Ignorance is not an excuse.
You make a good point there, but I never thought about that. Yeah, most of us at least understand that. Now, I mean, there is the small benefits that come with some of that. Sometimes if you're working a different shift or you're working longer hours, obviously you should be getting some sort of remuneration for that. A few extra bucks after your regular schedule, a few extra bucks you got to work nights, weekends, something.
Right.
I know our particular contract has some things in there that help out with that.
Yep.
Hopefully most do. So there is some benefits there. But yeah, it's the getting up so early. And again, I have no family. I've mentioned it before. It's just my wife and I. If I got to go to bed early because I got to get up early, she don't care. She's happy I'm leaving. Good. I want to watch my show about the crown or the queen or whatever it is she's looking at these days, right? I want to read my book. Like, it's fine. But I mean, if I had kids that were needing time, a spouse that was not demanding time, but needed time for whatever, I mean, that would certainly be different.
Yep.
So, last but not least, what's on the top of your good top 5 list? What's your super favoritist thing about working construction, man?
The learned skills that I've gotten from it, because I can do almost everything on my own house. I know that I can do whatever I need to do. I really, really enjoy having all of that knowledge.
That is a good one. It fell into my number 5 on the list, actually, but maybe now that you say it, it should have been a little higher. I just put mechanically minded, learning not only your stuff, but being able to see some little details of what other people are doing.
Yep.
That's a good one. Yeah, as we've talked, I've done a few things on my home that, man, if I wasn't around plumbers and HVAC guy, I would have done a worse job or not even bother try to do it at all from lack of confidence in myself. Flooring especially, right? Like,
right.
I get to see flooring guys do stuff. So, but yeah, so that's a good one, man. I had career viability as my number 1. If things turn bad, I could take my trade to many different places and many different businesses. And I'm sure this works with other trades too, right? I wouldn't have to be doing new construction electrical. I could be going to a place that needs a maintenance person. Right. I could be going to any number of places that hire trades that you're not doing what would be like the standard idea of your trade. Right. Go to a company that's building new devices who needs somebody who understands how wiring works. Like, so for me, it's the viability of, even if things turn bad in the local area and the construction we're doing and everything, layoffs start happening, the economy goes to shit, I still have a valuable skill that is widespread.
Right.
I think it works real good for a lot of trades, man. Some of them are kind of specific. If you're an elevator person, you're working on elevators, right?
Yep.
But I mean, the other stuff, we can kind of free float around a little bit and find somewhere else that could employ us if our day-to-day idea of what our employment was just wasn't available now.
Right.
That's mine.
Well, it goes to that saying, right? I was looking for a job when I found this one.
Right.
We'll always be needed. Construction workers will always be needed.
Exactly.
There's always going to be something being built, being worked on, being maintained. We are needed.
Yeah.
And we have gotten to the point where society now is realizing what they've done to downplay that. And now it's starting to kick them in the teeth.
Certainly. It's going to cost them in the long run if they don't pull their head out of their ass real quick about it, right?
Yep.
I laughed at and I might have mentioned this before. If not, I'll make sure we get it up in the show notes eventually. An image that your spouse sent me of a building, and someone had put a giant banner on the side of the building and said, "Hey, AI, finish this construction."
Yep. Finish this building for me.
Good luck with that.
Not happening.
Yeah. It might try to tell you some more efficient ways it can be done, and even we're okay with efficiency.
Right.
But AI ain't going to swing a hammer.
Right.
So, just side note about AI right now, since it seems to be the biggest thing in the news right now.
Right.
Yeah. Does nobody know what could happen if we do this? It could be great.
Yep.
That's what I love about it. People are so doomsday. Everybody mentions
Terminator.
Sarah Connor,
Skynet.
you've seen all Skynet, right? Yeah, okay, maybe it goes that way. But also, damn thing could figure out why they haven't cured cancer. Yes.
That'd be great.
Right. Not that they wanted to do that and cost them all their money in cancer drugs.
Yeah, Big Pharma's not going to go for that.
So there's something to be said there. But yeah, so my biggest one was that career viability part.
Yeah.
Is there any honorable mentions I'm missing that are good or bad that we haven't brought up that are real positives or negatives? Because we want the people working in the trades, or especially ones getting into, to have a clear idea what to expect here. Realistic expectations in our job is important.
Well, and I don't know, man, because if I was thinking about this episode when you sent me the homework, we so like to call it, and yeah, I didn't write much down. I went through it in my head, but there's so many points, and we could go on for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours about talking about what it's actually like being in the trades. Look, when it comes down to the nitty gritty of it, it doesn't matter what trade you're going to be in. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to hate your fucking life.
There's going to be days that you do, that's for sure.
there's going to be days that you come home just ecstatic because you did something that was just freaking cool.
Yeah, that never really came up. We get to do and see some really interesting things sometimes.
Yeah, we get to do some cool shit.
Right.
We get to build some cool shit.
Yeah, I didn't even think about to mention that. Yeah, I mean, I know I did say that actually being able to get to see, like the results of your work, but not just the results of finishing wiring a room, but I mean, we get to hook up some interesting stuff, some cool equipment.
The lighting that we're doing these days, everything, like just if you have an inkling and you want to just drive down whatever city that's closest to you, right? If you're not by a city, go to one that's close. See some of the architecture. And if there's something, be like, dude, that looks cool. Realize that there's guys out there that get to drive by that specific building. Oh, yeah, I built that.
Man, listen, I know we generalize sometimes saying guys, this, that, right?
Guys,
we
gals.
obviously know
Yeah.
they're gals and women in the trades. We're not trying to be negative. We're just generalizing. How many dads and people, even
I'm raising my hand.
Right.
Yeah.
I built that.
Yeah, I built that. I worked on that.
Yeah, you were there for like 3 weeks. You did some electrical and stuff, but I saw it with my old man. I've seen it with uncles. I've even done it myself, driving with my wife going, I'm pretty sure I put the roof on that building or the electrical on the roof on that building right there. Like,
Yep.
yeah, that is a fun part of it, to know that that you're involved in keeping the construction and infrastructure of this country and my former country going.
Yeah.
That is a great point. Actually, I think we should end on that. That's probably the greatest part of construction, is knowing you're contributing.
Yeah.
Yeah, not pushing paper. No offense to paper pushers. Some of you got to do that, right?
We need them in our trades.
Right. Yeah, I mean, lots of businesses, but we're certainly, man, pushing paper ain't getting your HVAC on.
Yeah.
Pushing your paper ain't keeping your elevator going or the water on.
It's not pouring the concrete.
It's definitely, paper's not pouring concrete. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Can you think anything I'm missing you want to bring up, man?
No, man, I really want to end on that note.
I think so too.
We're just building cool shit.
Yeah, we're building cool shit, and we're actually putting something into the long-term viability of these countries by building, no matter what it is, even people putting roads down,
Right.
fixing. I think it's a good point to end on, buddy. Tell them where they can get a hold of us, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hit us up, DM us on Instagram. You can find that at ISOP Podcast. You can also send us an email, isopodcast@gmail.com. Send us all your stories, your pictures, whatever you got. You can also even find us now on YouTube.
That's right. Yes, we're on YouTube now.
Give us a comment on our videos, give us a like, give us a subscribe, listen to everything. So a quick update with all of that is we want you to rate, review, and subscribe.
Please.
Or follow. Do whatever you got to do on all your media platforms. We are on Apple Podcasts, we're on Amazon, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube now. Just give us a follow, give us a like, let us know how we're doing. Also, go to our website at isoppodcast.com. Get signed up for that newsletter. Get notified. Every week when we're pumping out an episode, you'll get an email a little bit before morning break is when I've been doing it. So when you're at morning break, you'll see that email notification come up on your phone. But let us know.
And on that note, we do have ourselves set up now, and we're going forward very quickly here, having guests.
Yes.
If you're local, we might be able to even do it in person, but we're all set up for in person. We're set up for call-in guests.
Yep.
So we'll let you know if you think you could be entertaining, if you think you got a good story, even if you think you just make us laugh or give us a perspective that's not two electricians.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for.
If you're another trade, especially, we're happy to have electricians on, but if you're another trade, even if you just want to talk shit about us, that's totally fine.
Yep.
We want different perspectives. So when you're hitting us up on that stuff, if you do think that you would be a viable guest for us, we'd sure love to hear that during the emails or the posts or the DMs. We'll reach out to you. I swear. We'll definitely want to get in touch and see if you could be on. We do want to have that happen. And other than that, going forward, we hope everyone is going to have a great, safe week out there. If you're in the Midwest, for the love of God, try to stay warm. It is freezing cold out.
Yeah.
And other than that, I think we hit it, man.
Yeah. Just remember, your work keeps the world working, man.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, everybody, and we will talk to you next week.